All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Hope you guys are having all right Sundays. Well, no, it's sunny, so yeah, I'm sure you guys having a pretty good Sunday. Everybody except me, because I'm stuck in here. We're still getting a little rain here off and on in the good old Dallas, so guess it'll be all right. But without further ado, I was gonna do an explain. I was gonna run an explain stream today with the Zebo 737, but I don't know. You're looking at I look at most of the videos and like pretty much I say what 80 to 90% of everything's commercial. So I'm like, yeah. I don't know. Then I bought this guy for my A2A simulations, and I think I've maybe put an hour in it, and I feel terrible. So without further ado, the Beechcraft VTEL Bonanza by A2A. Alright, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around trying to pre-flight an aircraft in the simulator. So we're gonna work through it here together. In fact, it's be my first time, so bear with me. For those of you who aren't familiar with A2A, they've been around for quite some time. We're gonna freeze that. They've released quite a few warbirds for all the ESP iterations of that. There we go. So FXX, P3D, you name it. If it uses ESP, they probably have something for it. Lots of older generation aircraft. The Lockheed Constellation they have, I heard, is fantastic. P-51, lots of well-made aircraft, and they have a lot of character too. I've become quite fond of A2A because all the seem like they take special care to implement as much detail as they possibly can in their aircraft. So hats off to A2A. And yeah, you probably noticed the light came on here. The last time I've flown it was at night, so I don't know. Which, yeah, you can move that. I guess it's lots of detail. That off right now. Okay. Oh, there we go. Apparently I have something else on. That sounds like a fan. Here on that sounds like. Alright, yeah, I think I got a light somewhere. Oh. I don't know what part's coming from. Well. Alright, so basically at this point we're just extending, turning on the batteries to extend the flaps. So we'll get the flaps all the way down. And let's see, and then battery switch off, of course. Do not want to drain it. Actually, I guess before we do this, let's dive over here and remember that detail I was telling you guys about. There's like a little maintenance hangar module that's built into the sim, so of course it It shows the engine type, airframe, V35B, Bonanza. So yeah, very little time in this airplane. Yeah, and of course you get a little chastising by your mechanic. You should use Cam Gardner oil if you plan on letting the airplane sit for a long time. So man, yeah. Just run inspection, I guess. I'm sure I've jacked up something in it. The last time I've flown this thing, it was pretty interesting. Great shape. Alright, cool. Looks like we're good. Compression is good and all the cylinders there. And I think you can adjust the oil type. So I'm wondering as the temperatures change, being that we have some colder weather coming, if we can adjust the weight of our oil. You know, maybe maybe a lighter weight or something like that. I don't know. I know you can change your spark plugs, but I hadn't really dived into that yet. So awesome. All right, let's step back into this whole pre-flight deal. All right, so cabin, yeah, right wing. All right, so check for security and condition, and basically what they're referring to. I know I have absolutely zero real-world experience in the Bonanza, but I know on the 172, I'm sure those of you who spend any time in the 172 and are diamond aircraft, they're constructed. I mean, as far as the linkages, pretty much, you're pretty much looking at the same thing. So referring to the linkages here, I'm making sure there's nothing weird going on with them. You can press and hold them there. See a little jiggle from the flaps there. It's normally what you want to do is kind of move them around, check for security. And you'll also verify, make sure. I mean, they really put a lot of detail. I mean, it's almost scary how much detail they put in this thing. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I looked at that. So you'll mosey on over to the ailerons and you'll check for proper movement and security, and then you'll check for damage. So I'll make sure there's no nicks or anything or nothing bent. Then you're like, oh, what the heck do I look for? And then it shows you here. So bolts there, make sure nothing's backed off or anything like that. And then wing tip check for check condition, tip fuel tank. You know, you want to visually check fuel level, which I don't know. Like I said, this is the first time I've done this pre-flight deal, so that's a little weird. Drain and inspect fuel. So I guess here's your little, I don't know, I guess they're kind of the same thing depending on where you purchase them, but I know we call them GATS jars. Well, I guess the company I bought mine from is called GATS or whatever they call it, the GATS jar. But anyway, now is this referring to, you know what I think this is referring to? Since we have the, I don't have any fuel in the tip tanks right now, so yeah, that's what that is there. So since there's no fuel in the tip tanks, we're not gonna really get a level. So we'll close that and we'll mosey on along there. No damage there. Make sure, I have had these busted or cracked, or especially if you, I was in a club a while back and like all of their aircraft were like 1970, and there's nothing wrong with older airplanes. I mean, I love them, but if they're not checked and have good maintenance done on them, you will get these. A lot of times they'll crack around right where the bolt or whatever they use, the fasteners. They'll start to kind of dry rot and crack. So you'll want to check that. Make sure that's good, and check your nav lights. you know, and I know we used to turn them on, you know, walk to the, what was that? Yeah, walk back to the panel, hit the batteries, get your nav lights, make sure they're good. And you'll slide on over here, then wing tie down. We're not tied down right now, so of course you want to disconnect it, and then it has a little. So I guess you can click on it. Oh my god, wow, that's crazy. So yeah, make sure you're not tied down there. That'd be terrible. Which I've never ran into that because normally I'll, you know, even before a taxi, now visually check and make sure I'm not tied down. So of course you want to disconnect that. Make sure you're not chalked up, which use your chalk block scene, which I guess you can click that too. Well, dang. All right, so yeah, check your tire tread depth. Make sure you got decent tread. Make sure, especially if you're in a club or something like that, you want to make sure these tires aren't flat spotted. I've been to some outfits to where the, you know, once again, you know, shoddy maintenance. So, you know, no one checks the freaking tires, and you'll get it where like there's absolutely no tread on one side, and where's your taxi, and it literally feels like you have a block on, you know, or a boot or something on one side of the airplane. So yeah, it's like, especially, you know, if you're flying in the south and you know you come up on rain showers here and there, you definitely want some tread there to get rid of as much water as you possibly can. Also, you want to check your struts, make sure you got proper inflation, or yeah, proper extension, not inflation. Whoa. Want to make sure you got extension there. Make sure there's nothing leaking from the struts. You know, you'll get, you know, some where the you know, they'll start leaking around the seals and all that fun stuff. And a lot of times also, I don't know if they include this in the check, but I don't know, maybe they have like a closer view, but you also want to check to make sure that your brakes are in good condition as well. Check the disc and all that fun stuff. So anywho, moving along. Boop. All right, so this is the actual right wing fuel tank. So in the Bonanza, you got your tip tanks, and you have your main wing tank. So now we're on the main wing tank. We should have fuel in here, I hope. Visually check for desired level. So yeah, I guess it's, yeah. I mean, they did the best they can. I'm not going to fault them for that at all. So we'll call that good. All right, so we're just going to slide on down the airplane here. As my 3-year-old screams bloody murder. All right, so nose wheel here. We're going to check for proper inflation. Same thing as the right wheel we looked for. Yeah, right tire we looked at. You know, tread depth, flat spots. Make sure, you know, everything's in, you know, good working order. Nose, you want to check to make sure there's no dents here. Is this guy's eyes blinking? Want to make sure the nose cone's in decent shape. Nothing, the prop. Normally, I like to run my hands over the prop, and that'll give you a good indicator of like where. You know, if it feels like real rough around the edges, you know, you might want to get it checked, as that could, as you won't get efficient airflow over that particular blade. And yeah, like I said, you know, just, I mean, a lot of it is common sense, but they have to like publicize it, because if someone dies in the event because they didn't check something obvious, then, you know, it can cause some problems. So, you know, like I said, make sure there's no dents or anything like that. Especially if the aircraft's in a hail prone area. You want to make sure like the nose cone's in decent shape, because God forbid something happened to that, it flies off, and yeah, something weird. Anyway, check your engine coolant air inlets. I want to make sure there's no debris or anything in there. Actions, we'll see what that does. I guess these are covers. I guess you can put little plugs in there or something like that. Alright, nose. Alright, so change oil every 24 hours, 4 months. Man, this thing's ridiculously detailed. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I want to check your. I don't know if we can open the. I think we can. I just. think you can open the. I'm not sure, but yeah, you can visually check there. Slide on over here. Fill strainer and quick drain valve. Pretty much every GA aircraft out there that I know of has one, and basically it's just a little button there, and just as you most of your like for example gas jar, whatever, you know, whatever fuel inspection device you use, most of them will have a little needle, and pushes up on the needle and pushes a little valve up, and it allows you to take a sample of fuel. But you'll check that, make sure there's no water or anything in there. I guess you can drain more. I could be not doing this right, so excuse me. But yeah, over here, double check the oil quantity, make sure it's good. We'll probably add just a little bit more fuel. All right, gear, same thing. Let's check for leaks and all that fun stuff. Make sure there's not tied down. Okay, there we go. All right, so your pitot tube, pretty important. Where your airspeed, all that. Warm to the touch. I guess your pitot heat needs to be on. All right. So we're not going to do that, but basically what it's saying, they want you to, especially like in, I don't know in other areas, but I know in the South there's like a little it's a wasp, and a lot of us, I don't know, depending on where you're at, you know, we call them dirt daubers or whatever, but they'll fly in here, make a little nest, and yeah, it's not fun. I didn't dig all that. But anyway, normally you'd want a cover like this on there, so it's just like a little boot. And also you want to test your pitot heat, make sure your pitot heat's working. So basically turn on the pitot heat and hold your finger up to it. You want to be careful because it will burn you. Don't ask me how I know, but yeah, it will burn you. Nav lights, double check those. Looks good and everything's there. There's really no fuel in the tank, so we're not even gonna bother checking it. Guess probably should, but not. So let's grab over here. Left wing, I'll check for security, make sure everything looks good there. Slide on over here. Double check your linkages, everything looks good. I can move them a little bit, make sure everything's secured. Your static opening, pretty important, especially regarding your altimeter. Basically gets a comparison of your static error, and move it again. Now some of these are heated, but you know, it just depends on what, especially the airliner, excuse me, the large commercial airliners, these are heated. In fact, like this whole section, it'll be like a little, they ask you not to paint it. It's like a literally a decent sized square that's not painted, and that's normally where your stat port is. But yeah, even on GA, you don't want to paint it. So yeah, you want to check that, make sure it's good. The tail, very unique with the V-tail Bonanza V35. The ailerons and the rudder are interconnected. So as you turn the aileron on, I don't know if this is, you're also turning the rudder as well. So weird. Like I thought it was something wrong with my controls. I'm like, oh my god, my controls are screwed up. But I'm like, how could that be? Because I didn't change them. But yeah, they are actually mechanically interconnected. So as you turn the aileron, the rudder will also turn as well. And did a little research on that. Apparently, hey, Bud's going TrackIR, the new plane. Man, I had to. Everybody was having too much fun with TrackIR, and I had to. Went ahead and bit the bullet, and I'm still getting used to it. I'm not gonna lie. But we're making do over here, sir. We're making do. How have you been? So yeah, I want to make sure all that's free and correct. Want to make sure you're not tied down here. So you just double click that, which I find that so cool. So you just double click that, bam, it's gone. And God, okay, yeah. So you're checking all this, so which I guess, you know, is if you're physically there, it's not too bad. But you can double check all the linkages, make sure there's nothing, you know, bolts or anything backing out. I have seen where the little rivets have been broken on the little on the surfaces there, so you want to check that for sure. And yeah, we're just gonna move right on along there, and this might be an alternate static source, possibly, not sure. What's this key? Okay, your baggage door. So yeah, your baggage door, you want to check it. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it on the inside there. So that concludes your pre-flight inspection. That took all of what, like 15 minutes. But yeah, like I said, it's just weird doing that in Sim. I don't know why it is, but it's just really weird doing that in Sim. All right, so I don't know if this now it does come with built-in notes right here. So you hit page 2. So yeah, air in cabin. So yeah, pre-flight complete. Passengers briefed. Seatbelts and shoulder harnesses on. Let me adjust myself real quick. Home. Okay. Yeah. So like I said, getting used to TrackIR is a chore in itself. So go ahead and bring the flaps up. So we'll hit that barrier switch. Bring the flaps up. And it's one of those, now I don't know if I've noticed this on like a lot of the older Cessna 172Ns. Diamond doesn't have that, but on the older 172Ns, there's a little momentary. Well, I really know, it's like a 3-position switch almost, and like the center to 10, it's like the off. So I normally want to bring the flaps up and then bring them to the off position. Yeah, we'll go ahead and turn the battery off. You too, buddy. Have a blessed one, man. Take care. Alrighty. We'll go ahead and turn that off there. And let's see. Oh, well, should I just go ahead and leave the battery on? Alright, so all the circuit breakers are in. I don't know if this will work. My audio might change a little bit. And make sure they're all in, nothing's popped. Alright, so nav lights, I normally just leave those on. So rotating beacon on. Fuel selector switch on the desired tank. Let's see if I can do this and not be just all the way weird. Hold on. Alright, cool. Okay, so they want to verify our fuel level. I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and top off both tanks. Yeah, we're just gonna put 71,000. Okay, all right, good. So I don't know if there's some special process to say what we'll do this here. Let's see. Oh no, it's okay, I guess. As we should be sitting at, or did, unless it didn't take maybe. And like I said, I don't know if there's some special process or something like that. You know what? You know what? Cancel. Don't do what I did. There's another way actually. Let's see, right? Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Tip tanks, I'm not gonna bother with, honestly. Yep, alright, now we're good. Okay, so beacon light is on. Alright, autopilot off, gear switch is down. Alright, so mixture, we're gonna be going in full rich. I got the wrong one, yep. Full rich. Now, here's the tricky part, and we'll decide whether or not, like, you flood the crap out of your engine like I did and have to fight with for like 40 minutes. So it calls for mixture, full rich, prop full, throttle full. Well, I remember the last time I did, I don't think I went quite full throttle. Battery switch and alt switch on, and you're gonna have to run your fuel pump. Now the thing to remember on this is as soon as it like touches the green, get out of it like immediately. Let's see me. But here's your aux pump here, so as soon as you try so we can do it here. Hopefully I didn't flood the engine. Hope not, man. All right, so travel 3/4 of the way. All right, so we're gonna call clear prop. Yeah, she doesn't want to catch. I think I missed the opportunity there. Alright. Give it a few moments, try not to burn up the starter. Leave that mixture out just a little bit. Alright. Give it a moment. Start to cool off. There. Alright, so we'll bring the mixture back full. We'll bump start the throttle up just a little bit. Alright, let's try it again. There she goes. There she goes. All right. And if you look at your notes here, you want to keep the RPM under 1,000 with the cold engine. I try to keep around 9 because I don't want it too terribly low, but at the same time, you know, want to make sure your oil pressure and everything else comes up. And if you're unsure on the gauges, you can always kind of, I don't know if you can see them here, but you can kind of give them a tap there and they'll go a little bit. It's actually pretty cool. So while we're waiting for the engine to get nice and warm, we'll go ahead and turn on our avionics. There we go. And normally I use my 750 as my primary means of navigation. I'll just use this as a backup, or if I need to pull up frequency or something like that, we'll do that. Alright, so I went ahead and used AOPA's flight planner here, and we're going to plan for 7,000 feet. So we can go ahead and set it. Set for 7,000 right there. All right. And let's see. Let's go ahead and go. I won't need terrain, should be good. Alright, so we'll jump here into our flight plan, and those of you who have used 750, it's like super easy to do flight plans for it, but roll through it real quick. So we'll use Bravo, Yankee, Papa, Bonham, enter. Then we'll jump in there, and then we'll actually see if we can navlog this. Alright, so we're going to take Victor 114 to Alexandria. So we'll jump here, we'll go to load airway, Victor 114 to AEX. We'll load that. Then we'll take Victor 566. Oops. Now for AEX, we'll take Victor, I think it's 566. Yeah, 566 to Mushy or Mushi. And load that up all the way to Kilo Mike. Or, yeah, Kilo Mike, Kilo Victor. So Kilo Mike, Kilo Victor. Marksville Municipal Airport. Alright, so that's good. then here on my 650, I'll normally set up for, oh, sorry. Now, I guess it really depends. I mean, you know, you could kind of set your 650 up, maybe your 750 up as a moving map. Or you can have it set for waypoint info. Kind of depends. Normally, I always have mine set for waypoint info. So if I need to get some information real quick, just jump in here and dial that in, and I'm good. But depends on what you want to do. All right, so that's set up there. You can turn on your ADF just to have it on. You never know, you may need it. I may want to listen to an AM station or something. I don't know. Oops. All right. Let's see. So I can close that. Just gotta get myself organized real quick. All right. So looks like oil pressure looks good. Oil temps coming up. Go ahead and pull up our, make sure headphones are on. And if you turn on the headphones, I'll kind of mute your audio just a little bit. Parker said you sound amazing. Oh my gosh. All right, so basically at this point we'll just follow the checklist, right? So radio's on, transponder, which if you have the Garmin set, your transponder is built into your unit here. So you'll just click that, set that to on, and bam, you're transmitting. And you know, you could set your fly ID. Now if you're using ADSB, of course, you know, you'll be able to get traffic here and all that. If I don't know if this simulates ADSB in the sim, real world it does. So alright, so heading indicator, let's see, where's the wind? So we'll pull up the old ATIS here.
Kilo, Tango, Kilo, India, automated weather observation, 1922 Zulu, wind 157 at 8.
Alright, so that's all I need to know. 157 at 8. So I know in McKinney you're looking at runways 36 and runways, I'll say runway 18. Now, basically rule of thumb, you want to get the value closest to your runway, as you know, you'll, that way if you think about it, you'll get more of a headwind. So 157 is closer to 180, so we'll roll with 180. And if you're still lost after that, you can pull up your little handy dandy map here. It'll tell you runway 18's down there. So we'll come out, make a left, make another left, take it all the way down, and we'll be good. That's awesome. Alright, so, and then of course you want to make sure what information you got. You'll call ground, McKinney ground, whatever, you know, south departure information, whatever. Okay. Alright, so now we got the got our oil pressure. I want to try to idle it up to like a little bit above 1,000. I don't know if y'all saw that, but it kind of creeped up on us. So anyway, we'll do that. And like everything's in line so far, so we'll go ahead and cheese it. I always want to do a, there we go. And you want to do a brake check as well. Make sure your brakes are performing normally. Cheese it, boys. Oh, it's getting about that time of the year too. I totally gotta watch that movie. And once again, fellas, like, you have to excuse me because this still trying to get used to this TrackIR and then trying to operate this thing at the same time. So we still should get a little bit of a tailwind. That front has done its damage and now it's moved on. So, but I think we should get like a 1 to 2 knot tailwind, I think, according to the weather. It's like the front stayed long enough just to screw up my flight review and then moved on. Make sure to take the oh man. Now we're just gonna leave it in. We'll leave it in and then we'll just send it after that. But yeah, kind of get a little nice trot set up. I mean, nothing too quick, and you know, just kind of steadily double checking your instruments, making sure everything's reading normally. Yeah, so far, I mean, it's tracking pretty good. I do like the home key because your posture actually has a good bit to do with. I like, for instance, this is me standing up straight, but if you hit the home key, it resets your view and you can kind of get yourself together. Or you can just pause it all together. And I'm moving my head still, of course it's not moving. And you press the pause hotkey again and bam, you're back at it. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, if you looking at the headset, it looks kind of weird because you have these little 3 IR emitters that are clamped to the side of your headset, so it looks weird, but I mean, it's extremely, you know, I could check behind me, lean to the right there if I wanted to. Now if you need to check down like under the panel, you can kind of do that. No, without killing yourself, of course. And see, I think this is the entryway. Normally, here's what I'll do. Actually, there's a little, if you look at the actual airport, there's a little section for the run-ups, but normally I'll kind of catty-corner my my airplane off to the side here. That way I'm pointing the prop wash away from the taxiway, so it's not blowing, you're not blowing debris, especially if you're, it's like on, especially on Saturdays where you're real busy and you probably got traffic behind you. You'll kind of cat corner your airplane so you're not blowing debris onto the other aircraft. It's kind of a, you know, you want to try not to be, you know, yeah, that guy. All right, so run up here. Run up, we're going to basically bring our engine up here into 1700. We'll check our instruments, make sure oil pressure, temp, fuel flow, our alternators putting out, vacuum gauges, make sure fuel flow, like all that's good. Then we'll check our magnetos as well, and then we'll cycle our prop RPM and make sure our prop's good to go. So without further ado, we'll bring it on up 1700. Alright, I've got 1700 there. So at this point, you know, you're just kind of double checking your engine instruments, your cylinder temp, oil temp, amps, looks like the alternator's putting out, oil pressure, fuel flow looks pretty good. Now at this point you can also tune your mixtures. Right now we're like at full mixture, so you can watch the RPM. Kind of wait for see where the RPM falls out at, and then you can kind of bring it up. That'll give you kind of a good baseline setting there. So we'll set the mixture up. Alright, there should be good. Now we'll check our magnetos, and then we'll look for about no more than a 150 RPM drop on the tach. So first we'll check the right one since it's the furthest. And I try not to do this while I turn anything off. Alright, so I got a little bit of a drop there, not too bad. Bring it back up to both. Sure it comes back up, and then we'll check the left here. Look for the drop. Then we'll bring it back up. Alright, now we'll cycle our prop RPM, which is our blue handle here. We'll cycle that a couple times. And the reason why we do that, I want to make sure we're getting good oil flow into the hub, so when we're in air, we're going to actually need it. She should perform as advertised, so we're pretty good there. And normally what I'll do, I'll bring the throttle all the way to idle, make sure it doesn't die, and then I'll bring her back up to 1000 RPM, a layer line, that right there. Alright, so we're good there. Looks like she is ready for takeoff, and let's see, yeah, make sure it's good. It's good there. Make sure our artificial horizon set up, and then we'll set our heading bug up here for 180, which is, you know, it's like straight south. Alright, let's see. So when we take off, we'll turn on autopilot, jump into heading mode, and that'll give us an opportunity to get ourselves together. Let's see. Alright, so we'll bring our flaps down to about 10 degrees there. Stop it right there, and then we'll go to our before takeoff checklist. So flight controls free and correct. So double check your flight controls, make sure you got good free movement. I think I bumped the mic, so sorry if I did. So yeah, and then work your rudder pedals, make sure they're free. And like I said, you will get, they are interconnected, so I'm not even moving the yoke, and you will get a slight turn. That's totally normal. Alright, so make sure, now this thing doesn't have air conditioning that I know of, and no, even a little fan, I think. So you can, normally like this will be open, you know, just to get some airflow in here, but at this point you'd want to close that. Alright, so cowl flaps, open, pull to open, yep, so cowl flaps are open, flap set, trim tab is neutral. Let's see here. Alright, manifold, all that's good. Alright, cool, let's go. Alright, so we'll stop at the hold short line. This is, at this point, we'll go ahead and get our clearance and all that fun stuff. But since we're in the sim, we can do whatever we want. So, alright, so now we'll go ahead and turn our, make sure fuel pump is off. Flap set, all that's good there. Okay. Alright, so go ahead and turn on our strobe light. And get on out of here. I do have the 300 horsepower version installed, so probably gonna be a little torquey to say the least. So we're gonna slowly get into it and see what happens and try not to kill ourselves. Alright, takeoff power set. Engine instruments and limits. Airspeed's alive. Alright, 60 knots. Go ahead and rotate. Alright, pause red climb. You're up. And especially in high performance aircraft such as the VTOL, it is imperative that you stay as coordinated as possible. Our bumper flaps up, and by coordinated you want to keep the ball in the center there. You don't want to have it kicked out too much left or right. As the old saying goes, you want to keep the dog in the doghouse. So that little window there is a doghouse. You want to try to stay in that. So, all right, go ahead and get a climb checklist going here. So, climb checklist, fuel pressure check. Let's see, RPM. Get myself together here. RPM about 2,500. So we'll walk that down to 2,500. Alright, best rate is about 96 knots, so we're like well under that, so we'll go ahead and pitch for the 96. And what you can do, you can make sure, let's see, get your line down here. Use a little trim, a little elevator trim, and kind of get everything nice and trimmed out. And that should give us, there we go. But right now I have very little pitch inputs right now put in, so we should be good for right now. Alright, so mixture we'll set for fuel flow, so we'll adjust our mixture here. Right now, I kind of want as much power as I can, so we'll, and a lot of times you're setting your mixture more or less using your ears than anything else. You can set, I mean, there's multiple ways to set your mixture, but a lot of times I'll just kind of, especially if you're in the airplane, you know, it's a little easier to do, but, you know, you can kind of feel it and listen for it, and that gives you a pretty decent indicator of what the engine's doing and what mixture setting it likes or not. Then once you get up to cruise, then you can optimize your fuel flow, so to speak. So, alright, so let's see if we can, there we go, get our autopilot set up here. Alright, flight director's on. And it does feature a 3-axis autopilot, so and we're 1,000 is our little 1,000-foot warning. We're almost at 7,000 feet. I don't know if this thing will arm it, see what happens. Alright, so we'll go ahead and make that left turn. Looks like we're coming up on 7,000 right there. Watch your speed a little bit. Let's see here. So we'll go ahead and make another left turn to the north. Normally, probably what would happen at this point, you'd probably get vectors to just the instead of Bonham, you would probably just get vectors straight out. Okay, and I'll see we'll start nav mode. I don't know. At one point, it should intercept here shortly. Try to at least. All right, so let's see if we can bring up our checklist, and got a few storms there, so we're gonna have to kind of be careful. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, there we go. Alright, so try not to do that again. Alright, so get our cruise checklist. So cowl flaps, we'll close that. Power set, RPM between 21 and we'll shoot for about 23. Mixture set for optimum fuel flow. Bring up the manifold pressure just a little bit. Alright, looks like we're intercepting our course. Excuse me. 58 minutes so far. Holy smokes. But I will say is very rewarding to, you know, pretty much go through the process and go through the process and, you know, get, you know, such, you know, an iconic aircraft into the air and, you know that you can do it. It's pretty cool. We'll say it's pretty cool. I almost just want to go direct to instead of heading north. See if we can do that here. See if we can and just head direct to UIM. And it'll also give you kind of a little ambient temperature there. Pretty nice. Okay. I really don't want to get anywhere near those guys. Alright, so yeah, we're going to try to intercept BYP to UIM. And this airplane is slick, so you definitely want to stay on top of your airspeed right there. Right now we're getting about 184 knots, and then too bad. And also in this aircraft, fuel management, you want to try to stay on top of that, because yeah, just want to. You can create an fuel imbalance on this airplane. So normally what I do in both sim and real world, and I haven't really had any problems. Normally I'll get down to about 3/4 and then I'll flip to the other tank, and then kind of work it that way. That way you're not, because you can feel it. You can feel the imbalance there. We're going to come up, get into it just a little bit. You can't get into a situation where, you know, and like I said, you will feel it. You know, it's like, well, what's going on? Well, a little heavy on one side. Well, that's because you're running out of one tank there. So, I mean, that's normally what I do. You know, some different strokes for different folks, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, you want to try to maintain as much of a balanced airplane as possible. Prime example for the Concorde, about 70% of the flight engineer's job was, you know, not watching the engines, but utilizing the 100 or so, I'm exaggerating or so, but I mean, I'm exaggerating of course, but the 100 or so fuel pumps to keep the airplane within CG. And you know, of course, you know, with 4 engines, that's pretty huge task. And you know, now with modern airliners out here, you know, all that's, I mean, you'll never know it's doing it, but you know, it's constantly, you know, balancing the tanks, or you know, running 2 pumps at the same time, whatever it has to do to, you know, whatever it's designed to do to maintain good fuel balance. Or you know, you got cross feed valves and things like that to help, you know, mitigate fuel imbalances. But it is real, and it can cause you to have a not so good day. Yeah, I mean, now looking at our ground speed here, it's definitely not the best. I mean, 176. I should have took it out yesterday, but it was just way too much going on as far as weather. Way too much going on. Check out the back there. far, so good. And the course is actually like 0. Flight plan page. They're at tracks like 129. Around there. Give or take, kind of 129-ish, maybe. Detail. Tap them. Look under it, but and so far, oil temp, cylinder temp looks good. Manifold pressure. All right. Bump up the power just a little bit. But just FYI, I was just kind of thinking about this. That little pre-flight that we did, and the run-up and everything like that, like all the other fun stuff we did, that's the majority of, heck, anything from a 150 to a freaking SR-22, you're just about going to do the same thing. Now, there may be subtle differences. There may be you know, constant speed props, or you may have a fixed prop, fuel injection, carbureted engines. You know, there's some slight differences here and there, but the majority of them, it's going to be the same. You're going to do this. It's going to be the same process. I'm just kind of thinking about that, but yeah, it's going to be. It's going to be relatively the same no matter what aircraft you're in. Naturally aspirated, that is, or even turbocharged, you're going to do the same thing. And in case you are kind of on the fence about her, they have probably one of the most in-depth manuals or set of manuals I've seen for any GA aircraft. The only thing that kind of comes relatively close, it's like we're making that turn there, and direct to UIM. I'm gonna come up a little bit in power. Gonna run her and see what she'll do. And we'll go ahead and Alright, we'll dial back to fuel flow just a little bit. A lot of times, like I said, it takes a little bit of trial and error to kind of see what kind of performance the airplane will give you. Of course, there is charted documentation for that. I mean, you can pull up the charts and we can get the ambient temps and get the air temperatures and get a pretty close representation of what the airplane is going to give you. But you know, but I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it really just boils down to adjusting your fuel flow, your prop RPM to and kind of seeing what the airplane will give you and kind of just working it from there. You just go through the flight plan and see what's what. Still got about 227 miles to go. Ground speed. So ground speed 107. I mean that's about as much performance as she's going to give us. I looked at the winds on my little flight planner here, and that's pretty much what we're going to get. We can probably double check, which most airplanes, thank God for Cirrus, you'll have some updated weather information. Back in the day, all you had were those paper charts there and a list of you can probably tune to the closest airports, ASOS or AWOS or whatever, and it'll give you surface level winds. But you know, unless you have like your prognosis chart or something like that, you're kind of be just going off of old data. You might air traffic control. You might be able to pick up. And heck, I don't even think the flight service stations are still around anymore. But you know, you might be able to pick up some updated winds from maybe ATC. But I mean, honestly, I mean, it's one of those deals where, you know, they make time for you, but you know, you really don't want to have to bug them, you know, too much. But you know, if it's, you know, if you're in a pinch and the situation deems it necessary, I mean, by all means, utilize that as a resource for you. Air traffic control, the reason why we even have an AT system is for pilots. It's not for just to have one. It's, you know, they provide a service, you know, to us. So, you know, definitely take advantage of them if you can. Even if you're on a VFR flight and you just want basic flight following, I mean, honestly, I don't think, especially if I'm going cross country, I don't think I've ever done a flight and not had flight following. It's just so much easier. especially if you're traversing multiple types of airspace. You know, you got Class C coming up, they'll pass you off. Hey, I'm, beach XYZ, whatever, clear through Charlie, whatever. And, it's just business. It's just so much simpler to deal with. And plus it, if you're working on, getting your instrument ticket, it helps as far as, being comfortable with talking with air traffic control. That was probably one of my biggest hurdles was talking to air traffic control, getting accustomed to, speaking on the radio, trying to be as quick and concise as possible. And the only way you get better is by doing it. So, if you can, if I can recommend, anything is to, utilize flight following whenever possible. Because I mean, nowadays they make it too easy. You could be online, follow your flight plan, and you're done. You don't have to call. I remember you had to call flight service station. I mean, it was just you're just like, oh my god. It's still funny, like, you don't want to deal with it. But now, I think, I don't know. I don't want to stretch that far, but I'm pretty sure the capability is coming to where you can just file from, your Garmin or whatever it may be. So definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about. But yeah, and you guys were like, why don't you pick Marksville? I really didn't pick Marksville for any reason in particular. I was going to head up north, but there was some gnarly headwinds up north, and I did not feel like stringing this thing out to like a whole day ordeal. So, decided on doing that. So let's see. Almost getting close to our little 3/4 mark. We'll swap tanks here in a minute. And we're in the clouds. Awesome. And be a good time to kind of double check your temperatures. Make sure you're not below 0 degrees there. If not, we'll have to turn on our prop heat, and that's pretty much it. Is this thing even certified for? Good question. But I mean, of course, it looks like we're good, so don't worry about it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, looks like the cloud layer came up just a little bit on us. That's cool. That's totally fine. There we go. Alright, where were we at? Right at that 3/4 mark, so we'll go ahead and... Well, there we go. Kind of zoom in. Right main, yep, okay, we're good. We're good. Might hit some weather once we get closer to Tyler, Texas. We hadn't passed, I don't think we have yet. Don't think we passed it just yet, but I believe we're gonna hit some weather. Yeah, they're gonna hit some weather closer to Tyler. Of course, now a little turbulence, just got to go with it. Not much you can do, just kind of continuously check for icing. Of course, now you got your temperature there, but we're still good, but make sure you visually check for icing there. Second, gentlemen. Hey, bud, how's it going, man? Hope everything's going good in your neck of the woods. Just trying to see here. One second. Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Just taking the old Bonanza out for a spin. Heading to Marksville, Louisiana. Let's see here. There we go. I'm sorry about that. Send the text out, but yeah, it's taking the old detail out. I've had this thing for almost 2 months now, and maybe put what, an hour and a half on it. So just trying to avoid the weather and get to Louisiana, hopefully. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the returns I saw on the radar earlier. We're gonna see if we can push on through. I think most of everything is to the north of us. Oh yeah. Speaking of, I was going to say, speaking of the 777, have you checked out the just like the 747-800 or something like that, or 800i or something like that? Cub. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in something low and slow, so I figured I'd take this old girl out. I mean, here's what I bought a nice Aerostar for X-Plane about a month back. Yeah, I think I've gotten like one flight in it, and this guy here, and like I said, it's, just amazing airplane. I mean, it just looks awesome. but just haven't had the opportunity. Haven't had the opportunity. I think that is Tyler just below us there at our 11 o'clock. Yeah, I got a little pretty good bit there, and definitely tell the fall is upon us there at some of the coloration there of all the leaves and all that good stuff. And we're making a little turn, I think. Yeah, still got pretty good ways to go. What is this? Airspace info, Hackett. Okay, it's the military operations area. Man, I love this. Minimum altitude 7,000 feet. Max altitude. Okay, so $18,000. So if need be, if you weren't talking to ATC or anything like that, you know, you can go. I think we're flying IFR altitudes. Yeah, but excuse me. You can go under 7,000 feet and get under that and be totally fine. That too. And of course that's Shreveport. It'll be just south of that. So you know if you want to pick up frequencies, there's your ATIS there. And what I love about it is like you'll hit that button and it'll automatically set your comms up, so that's freaking awesome. Departure, more information, frequency, bearing 153 to 319. So if you're coming anywhere from like the south, yeah, from like, good lord. So from like the southeast all the way kind of west, northwest almost. That's your bearing, then that'll be your departure frequency. And bearing 9 there it is. Okay. That's pretty cool. Probably what we'll do, in fact, let's go ahead if we can. Go ahead and get altimeter setting for from East Texas. Should be close enough for it. panel. And let's spin. Let's see. Yep, headset's plugged in. Come one, I'm on the radios. Come one, have one. Tell you what we'll do here. We'll see. We should be able to get that from Tyler though. Unless it's not correlating with the sim. I mean,
Great County Airport information back.
that's weird. That totally should work.
Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky conditions clear. Temperature 290. Dew point 284. Altimeter 284. ALS runway 13 is landing and departing runway 13. VFR aircraft.
2985 says what? Unless, you know what? I'm wondering if this one here, freak. Let's try this real quick. 19 backspace. 19. Let's see. 6 5. Enter. Enter.
Great County Airport.
Yeah. Okay. So our 650 is going to be responsible for our audio.
Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky conditions clear. Temperature 290. Dew point 284. Altimeter.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. We are all up in the weather right now. Tell you what I am waiting for is I mean, A2A does an amazing job on if they did an Aerostar, which I don't know why they have not done an Aerostar, which I believe the owner of A2A or one of the guys on the A2A team or whatnot owns an Aerostar, and I mean, if they can demand, oh my gosh, that'd be probably one of my yeah, I have to say probably one of my most favorite multis is the Aerostar. Kind of checking my. Let's see, is this a fan? I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that's a fan, but all that moves up there. Pretty cool. Looks like we're passing the worst of it. Sorry guys, typing real quick. There we go. This is awesome now. Let's see. See where we're at now. Yeah. Right back. Alright, 128 miles to go. Pretty decent fuel consumption. I mean, right now, we're probably not running the most efficient, but I mean, it's not horrible. Not horrible at all. Not horrible at all. Alright guys, I think what we're going to do, I'm going to run and grab something to drink real quick and I'll be right back. Alright, let's see here what we got going on. Okay, alright, looks like we're at that 3/4, so we'll flip back to that other tank. There we go. Start pulling from that other tank again there. Pretty close to our destination. So we're gonna be, where are we at? 65 miles. Heck, yeah. I mean, even though we're not talking commercial speed, I mean, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. Coming from, you know, the A40, the A42, 172. You know, if we're talking general aviation. You know, she's pretty quick. I mean, she'll get up there. That's for sure. She will get up there. Yeah, I think that's the most enjoyable air. I mean, probably one of the most enjoyable things for me. This airplane is, you know, like a Piper Club or something like that. Like, as much as I love those aircraft, you know, unfortunately, you know, they're not, and even in real life, I mean, it's not really, even though people use them for that, but getting from point A to point B sometimes can be a little time consuming. And not that I wouldn't, you know, enjoy every minute of it, but you know, for those of us who, you know, have, you know, kids and things like that, so it takes a lot to be able to devote, you know, a whole bunch of time, you know, to doing that. But I mean, this thing here, I mean, I think you'll be able to do, you know, 50 to 100 mile trips, no problem. You know, Dallas to Houston, you know, Hattiesburg, Mississippi to Memphis, or, well, that's, probably do about an hour and 40 minutes maybe, but, New Orleans to maybe Florida or something like that. You can do relatively, you know, relatively decent time frame with this aircraft and have a blast doing it. I mean, like I said, it keeps you, you know, it keeps you on your toes constantly. You know, there's anything can go wrong, especially with A2A's AccuSim in the background running. I mean, anything can go wrong, especially, you know, if you're one of those guys like me who, you know, probably don't operate your aircraft in the best light as far as, you know, doing the things you're supposed to do. You know, sometimes we kind of venture out into the danger zone a little bit, you know, but, you know, that's when AccuSim will, you know, kindly remind us with a failure that we have to take care of our airplane. So I mean, this thing's a blast. It's so awesome. And I gotta give this guy a shout out, but it's the paint job here doesn't come with the model. This was actually, you know what, let me see if I can find this guy's name, because he did a fantastic job with this paint. Oh shoot, I opened it up in Firefox. Let's see here. Where are you? we go. This guy doesn't even put his name on there. Let's see. You know what? We'll do this. Let's see here. Shout out to the gentleman who did November 313 whiskey. If it looks like this and you did it, shout out to you because it looks. Love this paint color. It looks awesome. Let's see. There we go. Alrighty, let's see here. We're at about 60. Let's see here. 23 miles, Alexandria, 48 miles. We should be able to get before I do that, seeing Kilo, Mike, there we go, and frequencies, multi-com, departure, approach. Alright, so Marksville does not have any sort of automated weather service, so what we can do we can do this here. Let's see, info. Marksville is about 40, and that's weird because there's an RNAV. I mean, it has an RNAV approach for the airport. Let's go ahead and back that speed down just a smidget. There's an RNAV approach for that airport, but no. Huh. It's weird. I mean, I can't say I haven't seen it before, but that's kind of weird. Alright, so go to our nearest airports here, and then we'll go, I don't know, let's see here, Beauregard Regional, check that guy out there. Frequency, alright, see what's going on here.
Automated weather observation 21010 Zulu. Wind 131 at 8. Visibility 5. Sky condition feeling 4,200. Broken. Temperature 31 Celsius. Dew point 20 Celsius.
So not the best weather, but I mean it's VFR, so I'll take it. Alright, let's get rid of that. We're done with that. Alright, so everything so far is so good. Check the cabin tent. Cabin's nice and steady. Ground speed, so actual ground speed in mile an hour is 190 miles an hour, which is awesome. Endurance, so we got about 5 hours worth of fuel, which could get us about 1,000 miles, which Lord help you on a 5-hour flight. I mean, you're talking about potty breaks at that point. I mean, I think the airplane will outlast you, or me at least. I mean, after 5 hours, I definitely have to. Well, I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Right now, 11.8 gallons. 11.8 gallons an hour is not bad. Okay. All right, cruise. Mixture up to 170. Let's see. So right now we're like 20. We could probably go up to like 22 inches of manifold pressure, and still be good. So we'll go ahead and brief ourselves for the approach. So autopilot, and of course it'll be VFR, mixture rich, fuel, levers check, cowl flaps closed. Let's see. Prop high RPM. Let's see. Flaps down, high RPM, gonna check. Oh, and of course you guys were wondering what GUMP is. GUMP stands for gas undercarriage, or i.e. landing gear. That will ruin your day. Well, it's mixture and prop, I think, a propeller. So that's that. So yeah, pretty much give ourselves a pseudo brief. Alright, so right now we're crossing over Alexandria. Let's go ahead and back out of that power there just a little bit. Crossing over AEX now, just now going under our wing. Alexandria Regional. Decent sized city. I don't think. Have I gone through Alexandria? I don't remember. Oh yeah, because I think now we're kind of. Okay. I don't think I've gone through Alexandria. I don't think I have. If I have gone through it, I may have like driven through it or past it or whatnot. Yeah, cause that's to our left there. That's highway once. No, never mind. I haven't. Alright, gonna make that left turn there past the AKRacing. And probably our next stream, it probably will be X-Plane. Just to give you guys a heads up. I'll probably run that one tomorrow. Pretty good so far. I think we'll be starting to come out of here shortly. We're go ahead and back out of here. That's me jumping on the pedals. And we'll just use this little critical speed knob. Yeah, that's that good. Really slow on that one. Yeah, we'll just retrim it. 5,000 feet. Instruments still look good. Let's go ahead and bring up the old approach and landing checklist. Alright, so let's make sure we got our mixture set to rich, props full. Alright. $4,200 right there. Now, according to our latest weather update, I think sailing around this area is around 4,200. So I'm gonna try to get like 500 below that. So we'll come on down to about 3 grand. While watching our speed at the same time. And that is your gear down notification, or gear down warning horn, or gear warning horn, whatever you want to call it. Again, down to about 3,000. Gear trimmed out there for about 3,000 foot. And once you get it trimmed out for a particular altitude, I mean, really the only thing you'll have to do is just, if you need to start descending, just start pulling power, and it's should descend for you. Alright, we'll go ahead and come on down to about 2, I think. Let's see here. We got the airport in sight. It might be under my nose at this point, actually. Yeah, put something under my nose. And there's the airport right there. Yeah, there's the airport right there. going to do, probably going to try to shoot for 2-2s after left. Probably going to try for 2-2-0. Yeah, probably 2-2. Thing's definitely nose heavy, that's for sure. And we'll go ahead and use our landing light. So we're going to bring our prop, our mixture full, and prop full. And go ahead and drop that gear. Flaps 10. Flaps 20. And we'll go ahead and dump them. A little bit of trim to help us out. Hopefully we can get this one out now. Whew. And back on the stick for that additional braking and stop. Here we go. Came in kind of weird on that one, but I'll take it. And normally, as you're taxiing back, it's 1,000 times easier just to kind of look straight and feel for the switches there and kind of hit them, but since you can't do that here, we'll just make do. There we go. And then, of course, you'll pull up your handy dandy checklist. And let's see, trim neutral flaps up. And we'll go ahead and open up our cow flap. Alrighty. Alright, we'll come out here and set up our parking. There's a little differential braking. We'll kind of come back around here and we'll pull up right next to Scooter. There we go, pull up next to Scooter there, and we'll go ahead and bring it to a stop right there. Alrighty. We'll bring that throttle up to back to 1,000. Brake set. The radio's off. And we'll go ahead and close the throttle. Mixture off, and then sometimes you'll have to completely close it right there. LEDO's off, and parking brake is set. Beacon light off. And then what you can do, cabin is hot and steady. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. What to tell you. Alright. And we'll chocks there, and you can probably there we go. And let's see. Let's read. Go out and set your roll chocks and whatnot. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it. Fantastic flight. Super impressed with this airplane. Shout out to A2A for once again releasing a masterpiece. I mean, just awesome. I mean, just has, you know, as I said at the beginning of the stream, lots and lots of character. You know, if you ever wondered how general aviation really operates, download you an A2A aircraft, and I mean, it's probably as close as, you know, as close as one will get without actually being there. Cool. Alright guys, we'll go ahead and then jump off here for the evening. I know a lot of you guys are in different time zone, things like that, so I'll try to get a couple more in before I head out to work again, but If I don't see you guys then, and you guys tune in afterwards, thanks for hanging in there. Like I said, the whole video car thing. Sorry about that. Can't really have that. So you guys know how it goes. The old, you know, they just sometimes they just decide to give up the ghost. So gotta love video cars. Shout out to MSI for getting me squared away. So, all right, guys. I'm out of here, and you guys take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.